I am not even going to play myself. I almost did myself dirty just now because I just made some hot lemon and honey water. Because I can't call it tea. There's no bag. But I almost sipped that. I know in that tumbler it's scalding hot. Why would I do that to myself? I don't even know. Anyways, kind of got a late start on the day, right? I usually I'm usually part of the 5 o'clock, 5:30 gang. This week I've been more like the 6:15 gang. Yesterday was my rest day. I was gonna go today early, but my body was like, "Yo, we need a minute." I just stayed in bed till about 11:15, 11:30. This is going somewhere, trust me. 11:15, 11:30. So I go to the gym. I call my man P. Shout out to Michael Peoples, BU and Prosper. That's my dog. He's really about to he coming for the speaking game. He going, listen, he out there. He ready. And he's coming. So saying that to say, I talked to my man P. Me and P talking about life stuff and this, that, and the third. And we were nearing the close of the call, and he asked me about my other man, Chris. He put Chris on my mind real quick. So I'm like, all right, cool. This, that, and the third. I call Chris. Now, me and Chris are both Geminis, whatever that means to you. And he and I think the same creatively. He and I are often reclusive in our creative spaces and just the way that we navigate our creative spaces. And he was saying things to me about the things that he has planned. And number one, I'm so proud of him. I love watching my friends flourish. Like, and when I say that, like, I mean it. Like, people are like, I want to see my friends win. No, I love seeing my friends flourish because that puts a hope in me that as a creative, we need at times. Because being a creative is not, it sounds good to put in your little Twitter bio or whatever. But when you have to live the life of a creative while living the life of a civilian, meaning you have a 9 to 5 job or 8 to 4, whatever the case may be, or 4 to 12 in my field, you know what I mean? Like, shout out to my 4 to 12, 3 to 11 gang. Listen, I'm here for y'all. I'm not even kidding. But whatever life you're living as a creative, because the payoff is not immediate in the administrative mind sense. The administrative mind says, do work, get paid. Do work, get paid. The creative mind is like, yo, I want to do this work with the hopes that somebody will find value in it. And then more people will find value in it. And hopefully this leads me to getting paid. Any creative that goes into anything with just the money mindset finds themselves doing things for money, just for money, that they wouldn't do under any other circumstance. But people who have a passion for something and they put it out there, it's not easy for us. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we need a recharge. Going back to my man Chris, I'm listening to him talk. And as he's speaking, I'm completing his sentences. I'm saying in my head, yo, I said that to myself literally 2 days ago. Because, like, let's not kid ourselves. As much as in relationships, people need reassurance, in the creative space, in the entrepreneurial space, that reassurance is just as needed because we just need to know that we're on the right path. And we can't share that passion with an administrative mind as much as we try. And as much as that administrative mind wants to empathize with our journey, we can't. They can't. And because they have to live in a creative mental space where it's constant peaks and valleys, ebbs and flows. You know what I'm saying? And it's just one of those things that you have to live it to understand it. So me and Chris sharing that same creative mind. Shout out to Black Collar Six. I want to say Black Collar Six. So when you hear this and see this clip, you go to that. Because I'm all about building up my folks, man. You know what I'm saying? But having him say the things he said, it recharged me. Like, it was a much needed recharge, especially like this week. But like I'm in a space where it's like, yo, you're already doing the things that you need to do to be where you want to be. You just have to keep doing them. And that's where we begin today's um today's discussion. Having to keep on doing the things that keep your ship sailing in the right direction. I'm not gonna lie. I said it off the top of my head, and when it hit my lips and fell out, it felt so cliche. I hated every moment of it afterwards. I can't stand sounding cliche, like, but we like we work these idioms. Idioms. Idioms? Okay. We work these idioms into our day-to-day language. And we have no reason why we say them sometimes, but they just become like a staple. But when you try to speak in a way that's dynamic and you find yourself using those idioms, it's like, ugh. That's why a lot of people like, they be like, oh, Wayne out here try to use big words on purpose. Yes and no. Yes and no. Um, Using the vocabulary that I use it as a communication tactic. Because to be honest with you, if you want somebody to be confident in you, you have to seem more astute than them. Just like nobody cares about the up and coming guy outside of the people that love the up and coming guy. But in the world's eyes, like you have to have achieved a certain level of something for me to even want to look in your direction because I have to make it worth it. And I understand that, which is why I just don't do anything for money. I feel like quality material is always going to always quality material will always be quality to someone. So, but those fleeting moments, those viral moments that people chase, like what happened to the Welvin guy? The ha got him. What happened to that guy? Did he turn that moment in time into something that his children can benefit from? Because I'm sure, and it's just, this isn't me. He was just the first person I thought of in that Vine day. Shout out to those of us who remember Vine. But yeah, like that goes back to that, and very few people from that era are here right now. You know what I mean? Because they were chasing viral moments, but they didn't capitalize on the viral moment that they chased. DC Young Fly is somebody I think of. He started out on Vine. He was funny in 6 seconds to me. I find some of his, I know why he does what he does, and I find that humorous. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not looking for my Dave Chappelle type funny from him because that's not what he's here for. So I look to him for what I know he provides, which leads me into why do we seek things in people that they haven't yet proven to be able to provide? We do it to ourselves, right? Just because you have a need doesn't mean that the person in front of you is able to provide that. But yet here you are trying to get blood from a stone. Shout out to all my debt collectors out there trying to get blood from a stone, and then you get mad at the stone. What are you looking for blood in there for? And I make this face a lot because a lot of the things that I think and say feel so much like common sense. Like, why are you seeking out something in someone that they have not proven to be able to provide? That is the cancer of most relationships, whether you know it or not. Because most people aren't comfortable speaking their needs. You know what I'm saying? They rely on the he should have known that, she should have known that. And that formula has never proven positive because it always winds up in an argument that starts with, I thought you. And then the other person says, I had no clue you wanted me to. And then it's this talking in circles instead of just going, stop right there. That's the problem. I feel like some people enjoy the fisticuffs of a good roustabout. I use fisticuffs and roustabout in the same sentence. That's why I'm so ill in Scrabble and other things that have to do with words. Like, don't come over here playing. But I feel like people just enjoy a good roustabout. Like, fam, there's nothing about a domestic dispute that screams, I can't wait to have makeup sex to me. I don't enjoy conflict. I enjoy an exchange of differences of opinion that can lead to a broader understanding. I love those. But who's having those? You having those? I'll give you time to think about it. Are you having the kinds of discussions that allow you to have a broader understanding of your significant other? Or are you playing the expectations game so you can get into a you should have known to while the other person goes, I had no idea you wanted me to. You know what I'm saying? Half the people in relationships don't know things are an issue until that issue has bubbled to the surface. People let things slide too much. You know what I'm saying? Like they let certain behaviors persist. Like when you see something that you don't like, immediately speak on it. Shout out to Clara, because she got me back into that mindset, because I had fallen out of that mindset for so long, because it got me nowhere when I it got me nowhere when I engaged in it. I wanted a better word. You thought, you know what I'm saying? I ceased making a point just so I could find a better word. That's ridiculous. But shout out to Clara, because she really got me back in that mindset, because I used to be that. And then at some point in time, I stopped doing it. But she jolted me back into reality with the, like, if she sees something she don't like, immediately it gets spoken on. For some people, they might find that a little daunting. I did it first because I wasn't used to it. But once, like, it literally is like being in a fight, but not being in a fight, not like that kind of conflict, because I'm gonna make an analogy. It's like when you get, oh, okay, that's how we living it up. So now that I know that that's how it goes down, when I receive it, I don't receive it negatively. I'm like, yo, I feel that. And then we have a discussion about it and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that. I like, and a lot of people don't, they shy away from that. Like, why though? There's no need to shy away from conflict if it's going to be productive. It's like constructive criticism. You know what I'm saying? If you can't take constructive criticism, you just get out the game, because that's what life is, especially at this point right now. Constructive criticism should be something that your modus operandi makes space for. Whatever your modus operandi is, there should always be a slot, like a suggestion box, that you willingly check and you look forward to checking every day, just so you can improve upon yourself. How many of us are doing that? How many of us like constructive criticism for real? How many of us brace up at the first sign that they're not perfect? Because people know they're not perfect, but they want to say it. They don't want you to see their imperfections. Who wants that? For instance, I have on 3 different color blues. You can't see the other one, but hold tight. So this blue does not match this blue or this one. And it doesn't match the one on my shorts. Or nor my shoe, because if you think I'm not sitting in my house with a matching shoe on, man, stop playing with me. I'm sitting in my house with these on? Who do I think I am? And why am I like this? 2 questions we'll address tonight. Well, this like, seriously. But anyway, what's up, P? I just I'm gonna tell you like this. Every broadcast I have, I kick the tripod. And that's what being 12 and 13 was like. Ridiculous. But there are just things that we're not doing. We're not allowing room for constructive criticism, and we're not making room to have discussions that don't lead to dust ups. I've given 3 different iterations of conflict without saying conflict. The range. Oh, legend in 2 games, like Deion Sanders. Shout out to Deion Sanders, by the way. Oh, Joshua. I am old, bro. You know how, I'm so glad you said that. This is how old I am. Watch this. Hold on. Hold on. And I'm doing this because I was gonna do this anyway. Let me preface what I'm doing. Let me preface what I'm doing. I found an iPod, literally, an old iPod, the brick joint. An old iPod with actually all of my old music on it. And I came across this freestyle, which that's what we would call it now. And it's to the I'm on Fire, Lloyd Banks, if you remember that, whatever. I'm going back to my original point. Please know that. But my people is on, so I have to appeal to my audience right now, which is Michael Peoples and Jay Flores. Anyway, so I was, you know what I'm saying? I'm listening to my old music and I'm like, yo, nobody is writing like that right now. And I can say that, matter of fact, hold up.
Nigga, all about the digits in this bitch. Can you dig it, nigga? Stupendous, relentless, what you mentioned when describing what 7 do with his penmanship. Earn chips like rolling 11 sevens in a crap game. Raps like nothing when you a legend. I'm ahead of my time like Marty McFly. Only ain't no glory in the story, just the guts and the glory. Been warring for years, so I'm a veteran, general in chief. Maintain it's not a game, but if it were, I have changed to continue putting credits in. Sick, no vaccine, remedy your medicine. These women got no women, them 90% estrogen. Spit felonious, skin thick like an elephant, eat like a pregnant. Nothing that you telling them the boy ain't heard, so you're not worth mentioning. Niggas ain't prepared, 6 to 7 is insanely competitive. Couldn't be tamed with a sedative. Grave turned vegetable with 7 in their residence. Claim you didn't have enough gas in the tank to get away before witness wanna try and bring the feds in it. Nigga, I'm years past incredible. I'm telling you. Listen.
And I say this with the utmost confidence, and I'm not playing. I put that verse against whoever your favorite rapper is, and you go bar for bar on the penmanship. I promise you, I mean that, because nobody's writing that. Come on, man. And I didn't even mean to stop to take that moment to do that, but I kind of did. But like, when I think about like what you heard right there was like all hunger and proof to prove that I was better than anybody else who's doing this. Where across time do we lose that edge to believe in ourselves that way, that we need to siphon inspiration from those we find most inspirational in our lives? Where do we lose that? Why do we lose it? What external circumstances cause us to lose that desire to prove? Because that kind of hunger, that gets you anywhere. Let me explain to you who that young man was. That young man, Mr. 7, honed his skills on the battlegrounds of Brooklyn, New York, Manhattan, the Bronx, getting into on the train battles with random dudes who thought they could rap, dismantling their whole confidence, going to the park. I'm gonna snip this and I'm gonna tag my brother. Going to the park with a newspaper, freestyling off the newspaper. Not reading what I want. People are pointing to things. Like, that man he was doing that. He was hungry. Lack of results could be a reason why we lose that. Because like, it's like if we pushing and pushing and pushing and we don't see, we quit. That's true. I should know that from the fitness world. You think this tea is ready yet? I really want to drink this. If I burn myself, I don't even care. It's just right. All right. Kicked it again. Oh, what is serious face? See how I did that? But anyway, no, seriously. Lack of results does do that. Because like the pain of transparency, right? It's crazy. I was literally just talking about this with Clara. The pain of transparency, asking your friends who have influence to post things on their, just share your content, whatever that interaction may be, because I don't want to narrow it down to just that. But that's the example that I gave earlier. Reaching out, humbling yourself and telling your friends, yo, I'm trying to do this thing. I feel like your influence would help me to materialize what I see in my head. Would you mind helping me by doing this? You can say like, but do you realize how paralyzing that statement is for some? I can say it easily because I've been through too much to allow myself. And honestly, I recently still felt that way with somebody who I know loves me ridiculously. It is a man. It is my cousin JJ. I just wanted to clear up any misconceptions. I'll move on. I asked him to share something. I've never asked him to do that before, ever. Right? Never. But I at that particular piece of content, I felt like was a good introducing who I am and what I want to do to people who have never seen me. Like, and that's what it's about. But it's not about doing it once. It's about humbling yourself and be like, hey, I might need to do this every 3 weeks, once a month, maybe, if it's not an inconvenience to you. If you make them a part of your formula, they now you gain accountability partners. Hey, did you create new content for me to share? Because people are saying blah blah blah. Like, could you get me some more clips? It holds you accountable. Now you have to do a thing. But that begins by building the kind of relationships that you feel confident in doing that with. A lot of people don't set their lives up for that kind of stuff. They set their lives up. Oh, they, they set their lives up to have yes men around them. And that's unfortunate. Because when do we arrive in a space in our lives where we would rather be lied to willingly than willingly accept the truth about ourselves? No, lie to me. I'd rather that. No, seriously, I want to go into my grave knowing that no one was ever honest with me, but at least I was happy. That never ends well. That never ends well. Most people don't understand effort and dedication it takes to build something. It's because they forgot the level of concentration that they put into making their first Lego castle, if they ever did, or whatever your personal Lego castle is. Everybody has their own Lego castle. I don't know what mine was. Like, it's like, okay, so hold on. No, because I really want to know. I really want to know that. Like, effort. I think honestly, when I wrote my first rap that I ever wanted to perform, I think I was 15. I think I was 15, 16. And I wrote it and I performed it at this little hole in the wall club. And I forgot the name of the reggae show that used to play on like the public access television, but that's where they played that performance at. And I rapped my heart out on that. It was like 7 people in there, and I brought 4 of them. That's how I go. But imagine if I let that discourage me from ever writing a rap ever. Because honestly, writing a rap and performing it is very similar to the confidence it takes to do this. What if I mess up? What if I? Your mistake is only a mistake if people notice it. Like I've been on stage, forgot a line, and real quick, like just that noise. What's that next line? No, yeah, yeah, exactly. Get up out of there. Next line, I remember that. Like you gotta be comfortable with the stumble. You have to be comfortable with the stumble, and that's an analogy you can use for life overall. You have to be comfortable with the stumble. Like I feel like I've become so accustomed to becoming comfortable with the stumble that I walk expecting to stumble at some point. Real talk. Because my life has never been perfect. Not hold on. Let me rephrase that. I didn't like that. I was trying to do 2 things at once and I messed up. All right. We bike. We bike. Let me get off this. Cool. Uh what you doing, Cletus? Got it. Don't know what you did, but you're doing too much. I don't like when I do that. Like when I know I'm doing something and I get that's stupid. But anyways, but no, like and it's so crazy that when we start to pick and choose the people that are going to be around us, right? Some people do the some people do the purge when they hit certain milestones, right? That's going to bug me. Hold on for a second. I should have just left it. Caught myself getting caught up in the aesthetics. Be in the moment. Because I don't even want it on that screen. To have it right here, just like where it was. That was fine. Picked it again. Anyway, some some people do the purge at certain milestones in their life, right? They do the having a daughter. I can use her as an example. Shout out to Queen Kenzie. That brand coming soon, whatever she wants it to be. But you know, it's already. Don't even worry about it. Um, so when you have your middle school friends, and then when you go into high school, you go, okay, this is a chance where I get to rewrite who I was in middle school. If it's somebody that you didn't like, you get to step into a new character, so to speak. That's just how it is. You can lie to yourself if you want to and say, I'm always myself. You're a liar. Anyway, so you're 14, you go into high school. That's your first milestone. Now, there's another quick milestone that a lot of parents forget. I hate when parents forget that they was teenagers. Y'all be making me want to smack y'all sometimes. I'm real rap. But because y'all is how do you're critical of things that you too committed, but teach your child how to walk through those things. Anyway, there's a transition that happens very quickly, especially for girls. Who did I meet freshman year? You get mid-year, there's a mid-year purge. And they leave some people behind. And they got this, I'm gonna go into the summer with these girls purge. Midsummer, something may happen. The balance of power shifts. And now it's like, do I want to take those two with me into this new transition? Because I'm about to be 16 when I turn into this grade. So that's big. So now that's where girls decide who gonna be their ride or dies for real. They decide at that point. And then the transition comes 18 when they leave high school and transition to whatever's after. Now, how do they navigate that? Because that tight friendship that transitioned from freshman to sophomore year, that sticks. And then they got to decide how they want to navigate it. Now, this person's over here meeting new people. This person's over here meeting new people. The first time that they try to blend those crowds is where they decide that friendship is going to go. And that's a transition. People binge purge. So as you're setting your life up, if you're not thinking bigger picture, because you're young, things are very trivial, very surface, very, I hate the fact that I didn't know that one. Superficial, buckshot. No, but seriously, things are very superficial. So those are the relationships you form. You know what I'm saying? So now you got, but we don't think it. So we have our superficial friendships. This is not set in stone. I'm simply giving an example because I'm going to say it like it's a fact, only because that's the way my tone sounds. I can't explain it. Your superficial friendship only lasts as long as either one of you's first real tragedy. When your first real tragedy happens in your and honestly, it varies from person to person. Some people have their first real tragedy in their transition. You have people who go through real deep family tragedies in that freshman year of high school. So they got to make a transition that they would have probably had to make later mad soon. And if they don't have the emotional intelligence enough to navigate that space safely, they're going to have a tough hill to climb. Saying that to say, you're super fit now, but hold on, because I'm going to get back to that. I remember that. Your superficial friendship down here that you think happens, whoever sticks in that freshman year tragedy, it can either be like really beneficial or really toxic because now you've almost trauma bonded. You know what I'm saying? You almost trauma bonded. So it's like, are you here because you're here or are you here because of sympathy? And the longer it goes on and the more interwoven it becomes, it's harder to tell the difference. Now, back to the 25 or something. Your first tragedy is how you decide how that friendship goes as well. And then you go on, but now you're of the mindset that I need people around me who are for me. So you tell people things up front and you make them decide whether they want to stay. I have friends right now that saw me go through drug addiction. I was addicted to pills crazy when I was 20, 21, 22. That was a rough space for me because it was the first time I had ever had freedom. I've always had freedom. And me and my mom talked about this the other day. I've always had a level of freedom that wasn't common amongst my age group, peer group, none of that. I earned a certain level of freedom because of how I carried myself and who I found myself around and who I was in that circle. My mom knew I was a leader. She knew I wasn't no follower. She knew if she got a phone call about me, which was few and far in between, it wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, so saying that to say, there's a certain level of freedom that I was afforded. And there was a certain level of freedom I was afforded. My mouth was hella dry. I apologize. There was a certain level of freedom that I was afforded that didn't transition well over into the college space. Because if I'm keeping it a buck, I don't want to ruffle no feathers. I love my mom and dad, but they did the best they could with the information they had. I wasn't parented so much as I was Bluetooth. I wasn't parented so much as I was housed and guided. And because I enjoyed that style of being parented, I did everything I could to keep it just like that. I policed myself, and I was raised in a village. My village was the people in those pictures and like some elders. The pictures that I posted from Saturday, that was a great day for me. That was my village. So I policed myself because I liked the way I was parented. And I didn't want, like, me and my mom, I was the only child for like 7 years. You know what I'm saying? Like 8.5, if you consider the fact that when a baby is born, you're not really playing with it or interacting with it. It's that. So I had a lot of time with my mom, like a lot, because I was with her most of the time. I enjoyed being with her most of the time, if I'm being honest. Not that I didn't enjoy being around my dad, but there was a certain level of communication. I enjoyed being around my mom and her friends because they let me talk. I'm gonna get to that. They let me talk, and I enjoyed being a part of the conversation rather than like a sidebar in it. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't enjoy it. Being around like my dad and his friends. I didn't like all that Cro-Magnon nonsense. It wasn't for me. But so I spent a lot of time around my mom, and we know each other. Like I know my mom through a series of questions and I just conversations, and like I know my mom. I know from whence she came. I know why. I know all of that, and so we can, you know what I'm saying. So that freedom helped me navigate that. Now I get to school because I'm definitely going to get back to that. I get to school and I'm running roughshod in a way that only plays in the environment that I'm from, not the environment that I was in. I created a lot of friction for myself. But the people who saw me through that, outside of that, after that, and are still right here, right now, Ashley Bennett is one of those people. Like, who see me now through that, that's who you bounce your how am I doings off of. Michael Peebles is another one, and I haven't known him nearly as long, but we shared a lot in the time that we've known each other. Yo, how am I doing? Like for him, I remember one time in no uncertain terms, he told me I was lazy. And I remember the conversation. He was like, I feel like you rely too much on your natural talent and gifts, and you don't really have no direction sometimes. In no uncertain terms, because I'm paraphrasing, but the truth was the truth. I wasn't salty. I was like, I have to support him because that's the kind of energy I need to keep me sharp. I don't need and the reason I knew that I needed that is because I saw very closely what it looked like when you have people in your life that are just yeah man yeah like I saw that and it was horrible. I hated the way it looked. I was like, there's no way that could feel good because one day somebody's gonna be brutally honest with you. That's why I'm brutally honest with myself first. So by the time I get stabbed with that truth that you got, I'll let you stab right in that wound because it's already prepared for that because I did that already. That's a sick way to think now that I think about it. But say la vie, you know? Hmm. Bless you. What's wrong with you? But anyway, honestly, I do. So I gotta laugh, right? Because like you watch certain TV shows, and in the TV shows they might depict like certain long-standing marriages a certain way, and they all I like when they depict like the old people marriage like still frisky and alive. I like when they depict it that way, right? But then I started thinking to myself, do people even understand what it takes to get to that point? Like, do people understand what it takes to get to that point where you're still frisky with each other? Like, like I think men, and I'm gonna have to come at men real quick. I'm gonna have to address men real quick. We have to stop thinking that sex begins at the erection because it does not. Sex does men. Sex does not begin at the erection. It begins in your mind when you think, yo, I ain't doing nothing on Tuesday, right? I'm not. All right, cool. Let me pregame this. So you start doing little stuff. I'm giving y'all game. I swear y'all better clip this. And yo, men, sex doesn't begin at the erection. It begins when you already plotting the mission. It's gonna look like that on this day. I know life happens, but you can do this. Trust me. It begins when you think to plot the mission. You walk past your lady in the house. You graze her butt with the backhand. Because it looks like an accident when you're doing it. Don't look back. Don't look for no response. Just keep your stride true. Stay natural with it. And in her mind, she's like, they do that on purpose. Oh no. Let me see. So you walk past, you don't do nothing. Then she has to sink, no matter what you're doing. Like, because that's a brief moment in time in which you get to be in control. A brief moment in time. You creep up behind her. Don't you like literally like try to slither. Like if you a heavy footed nigga, like don't do it. Just like walk up behind her. If she has longer hair, lift that ponytail up, lift that hair to the side, light kisses on the neck, hot breaths. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the plot. You know what I mean? Then by the time you get to the day, you ready because you've anticipated it as well. You have to build the anticipation for yourself. But if all you care about is getting yours and just, you know, pile driving and trying all the moves you think was cool in your head, that's dumb. Don't do that. That's dumb. Because it's not like I don't as men, I don't think we think that the roles can be reversed, but they can be. Like, have you ever been forced into something in that realm, in a sexual realm that you weren't quite ready for, but like you know you had to be ready? Nobody likes that feeling. You know what I'm saying? So we just have to understand that just like behaviors, like we set the tone. Like as men, we set the tone. So if you present yourself in a fashion, you'll be addressed in that fashion. I think a lot of men don't understand. I was literally just having this everything. I literally have these conversations. If you present yourself a certain way, you can't get mad when you're addressed in that fashion. Prime example. And I'm addressing men again because I see a lot of things in men that I don't like, and I welcome the same. Know that I welcome the same. But this is something I need men in relationships specifically, and even if you're not, I need you to I need y'all to hear this. Listen, man. Stop going to work presenting yourself like pretty Ricky Playboy, then get mad when a reputation develops around the way you interact with women. And then instead of taking accountability, you say everybody else is tripping. Then when you have a work function where you bring your girl with you and your energy's not the same because it'll be awkward because you know you've presented yourself one way when you were at work. And then when you get home, you present yourself another way. and then you bring your two ways into the same space, and then women are addressing you, number one, as if you had no girlfriend, two, as if she had a green light to talk to you that way. You set that stage. You need to take accountability for the fact that who you are needs to be who you are. Consistency is the number one, it's in the number one categories for attributes that a man should possess. Consistency. Because whether you know or not, we require the same thing. We might not say it that way, but we want consistency because every time our lady acts in a way that we're not used to her doing, probably because of a thing we oversighted, what you tripping for? Like, no, what you mean? So men, presentation is everything. If you want to be addressed as a man of respect, you must present yourself as a man of respect. And I think the reason I'm saying this is because I don't want it to ever be misconstrued that I have a certain view of women just because I ask certain questions and kind of want to see what the responses are going to be. I like to understand how both sides think. And because I'm a man and I speak with men and I've been different types of men throughout my life, I feel like I can speak on certain things in a way. And nobody can listen. I've been the wrong kind of man mad times. Mad times. I don't say that proud. I don't get around other dudes and be like, oh, remember when we used to do this? No, I don't want to remember when I used to do nothing. That was abusive, contrary to my present character. I don't want to remember that. I'm not hype about that. But I do use those experiences to educate younger men on how you can turn your behaviors around no matter what you learn. You can unlearn a behavior as long as you replace it with another behavior. Also, raising my daughter to be mindful in other young ladies that she might find herself around, to be mindful of the things they see in young men. This isn't for me to get on here and try to sound smarter than everybody else. What it is for me to get on here, say these things, and share them in spaces where they are needed, or I feel that they might be of some use. That is my purpose in that. Anything I say, I don't like the fact that this is registered like that. Anything I say, it's not for it. My initial step is never for personal gain in anything. My initial step is never to consider myself above because I'm still learning. I have to stay down here. The moment you start trying to rise above and speak to people, you lost them already. I have to stay right here. You have to earn the right for people to bend their necks to listen to you. And you still shouldn't even want that. You should always want to meet people eye to eye, exactly where they're at. How else can you pull them out from where they are? If that's what they're required, if that's what they're requiring of you, or if that's what you're requiring of yourself, if that's what you are mutually headed for. And that attentiveness to people is something a lot of people don't, but it's my wheelhouse. It's I could tell just even thinking about like different places in my life. I've always been like anti, you know what I'm saying? Like even harkening back to that young man, Mr. Seven. Even him, he didn't want to live a rapper life. He wanted to be in the studio. And when he wasn't in the studio, he wanted to be at the crib playing video games, preparing to go back to the studio or preparing to do a show or preparing to some sort of press opportunity, anything. But it was never for nothing. I did not, that whole, I'm going to live the rapper life. No, I hated that. And the people around me knew it. And I think it kind of gained their respect. It's like, oh, you about to do this? No, I'm about to go back here with them and play the game because I'm only here to do this. Present yourself the way you want to be treated. Stop looking for things where they can't be found, which was my original point when I first started speaking. You can go back and see that. Listen, I might dance around, but I'm always going to get back to the same old two-step because I don't forget nothing I'm talking about. You know why? Because I love what I'm talking about. And I'm speaking from a place where I want people to understand the things that I'm saying. That's what sets me apart. I want to be a trusted authority and voice in the space in which I'm speaking. And that is a desire of mine. Not to exploit an audience that literally probably needs, literally and probably. How are you going to be literal and probable? That's dumb. That literally need what it is you're dispensing. I don't see people like dollar signs. I think I see people more like puzzles. Like you can make an analogy for people anyway. You could be like a bicycle. You could because like you can make a correlation between the different parts and the functions. You could do all that, but I see people like a puzzle. And some people are literally stuck on where to put that next piece because they think they can see it. They just need somebody to be like, yo, I see that too. Put it there. That's it. This is Wayne Stephen with 7 Elements. Yes, sir.